very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Newsfirst Weekend, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at the headlines this evening.
Prime Minister orders to cancel our GP's visit to Scotland. Train ticket prices increased with effect from midnight today. Maximum retail price introduced for bottled drinking water. Mother of two killed in Jaila drive-by shooting. More than 800 confirmed killed after tsunami and earthquake in Indonesia.
And now the stories in detail. A 40-year-old mother of two was killed in a drive-by shooting in Baligampitiya, Jaila this afternoon. Police Special Task Force said the target of the shooting was a separate individual and the shots had been mistakenly fired at the woman.
The shooting took place just after 12 noon today when unknown gunmen in a car opened fire. The woman who was injured was rushed to a hospital and was later pronounced dead. The victim was a 40-year-old mother of two from Kapuata, Jaila, identified as Rasika Royal. She fell victim to shooting while travelling in a car. Police Special Task Force said the shooting could have been the result of a dispute over a sand extraction racket. The 8-year-old daughter of the victim was also in the car when the shooting took place. However, she was not harmed. The immediate aftermath of the shooting was recorded in CCTV cameras installed in the vicinity.
At around 12:10, I was inside the salon and then I heard 3 shots being fired. I ran out and I saw a car parked on the sidewalk. There was a woman inside and she was bleeding. There was a child inside as well. Many said not to take her until the police arrived. Because she was still breathing, I stopped a vehicle and took her to the Jaila hospital.
The Police Special Task Force and several police teams have been deployed to investigate the shooting based on several leads, including material obtained from CCTV footage.
News first made inquiries from the Police Media Division on this afternoon's shooting. Police said there is no evidence as yet to claim if the shooting was related to underworld activity and investigations are underway. Moving on, the Department of Railways announced train ticket prices will be increased by 15% with effect from tomorrow without the change of its minimum fare.
Train ticket fares will be revised from tomorrow as per a proposal made in the 2018 budget. The minimum fare of ₹10 for the third class, ₹20 for the second class and ₹40 first class will not change. However, the minimum fare, which was applicable for a 9-kilometer journey, has been revised to 7 kilometers. This is the first time train ticket prices are being amended since 2008. Railways General Manager Dilantha Fernando said the seat reservation fees will be increased by 20% from the 1st of November in line with the revision of ticket prices. Station masters will be given the opportunity to print the new ticket price on tickets which have the old price printed on them. This measure will be adopted until the new batch of tickets with the new prices have been issued. Railways General Manager Dilantha Fernando said the issuing of unique codes for the old ticket will be stopped from midnight and will be handed over for auditing purposes.
An extraordinary gazette notification was issued specifying the maximum retail price for bottled drinking water.
According to the Gazette notification issued by the chairman of the Consumer Affairs Authority, the maximum retail price for water bottles is effective from Friday. Accordingly, the maximum retail price of a bottle of drinking water from 350 to 499 milliliters will be 26 rupees. The price of a bottle of water from 500 milliliters to 749 milliliters is set at 35 rupees. According to an extraordinary Gazette notification, the new price of a water bottle of 750 milliliters to 999 milliliters will be 40 rupees. 1 litre to 1.49 litres of bottled water will have a maximum retail price of 50 rupees. In addition, the price of water bottles from 1.5 litres to 4.99 litres is at 70 rupees. According to the extraordinary gazette issued by the Consumer Affairs Authority, the maximum retail price of a bottle of water between 5 litres to 6.9 litres will be 150 rupees. From 7 litres onwards, all other drinking water bottles will be sold at 170 rupees. The Consumer Affairs Authority orders that no manufacturer, trader or distributor shall sell, expose or offer for sale or display for sale locally packaged bottled drinking water above the maximum retail prices.
Minister of Finance and Mass Media Mangala Samaraweera says former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was given freedom because of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. The Finance Minister made revelations about the hidden relationship between the Prime Minister and the former President at an event in Mathura today.
If he hadn't won, Mahinda Rajapaksa will never be able to go overseas. He will be arrested if he did. Mahinda Rajapaksa should actually light a lamp and worship Ranil Wickremesinghe every day. If he likes, he can even hang my picture next to the Prime Minister's picture and worship, because it was us who saved him from becoming an international assassinator.
Ministers and MPs of the incumbent government charged that a large sum of money was misappropriated and deposited in foreign countries during Mahinda Rajapaksa's regime. Although it was assured the money will be brought back to the country, the government has not been able to recover any money.
If the country was developed with the loans that were obtained, our country should be in a better place now. I'm ashamed by the statement made by the Minister of Finance in the country. He has been a minister for years now. He said that he will not allow ministers and MPs to bring in fancy imported vehicles. But what's the point? The ministers have already brought the vehicles they want to the country. The ministers are in the final stage of their tenure. All the newly appointed ministers bought the vehicles they wanted and the finance ministry let them. Now the finance minister says he will stop. But it's too late now because the horse has bolted already. The economy will not collapse just because the rupee depreciated. It will only be better. The rupee depreciated by 12 rupees in 2012 when Mahinda Rajapaksa was the finance minister. He took $4.1 billion from the reserves to stop it, even after the rupee depreciated by 12%. During the previous budget, in order to fulfill an election promise, we reduced the prices of vehicles. Then, suddenly we had a large number of vehicles coming into the country. More than 25,000 1000cc vehicles were brought into the country. Some go around telling they don't have money. But when you see the number of vehicles at the customs, you won't think that people don't have money. The people of this country are obsessed with vehicles. Don't get angry. I'm making a request from the state sector. Only for 6 months, we request you not to open LCs for vehicle permits.
The citizens of this country are welcome to hold their own opinion about the relationship between the former president and the Prime Minister, based on the statement made by the Finance Minister. Meanwhile, addressing an event today, Minister Sagala Ratnayaka said increasing the living standards of the people is a challenge.
The problem is salaries of the state sector employees increased. Then the income earned increased. The revenue of our country also increased. With the higher salaries, the country also develops. Those who travelled in bicycles are now using motorbikes. Those who travelled in motorbikes have bought either a three-wheeler or a small car. The people develop when the country develops. These are not bad things. What we are saying is these are good things, but we will have to go through a struggle. Don't panic and don't think this is a bad time period. The Prime Minister is going from village to village saying the economy should be strengthened. He only thought of strengthening the economy 3 years later. The economy has collapsed and everyone thought the Prime Minister was an economic expert. They now want them to have 100% margin when importing vehicles. The businesses will collapse and the financial institutions that lend money will also go bankrupt. The Prime Minister has destroyed the country and the economy just like he ruined the UNP. For 3.5 years, the media in this country, including Newsfirst, pointed out the inconsiderate economic policies of the government would move the country towards a serious financial crisis. On many occasions, the experts in the country issued warning signs to the government, highlighting the country's future would be in darkness because of the incumbent government's corruption and misappropriation and its biased decisions. Today, it is clearly evident before our very own eyes. Why is it that politicians in the country do not see the present economic crisis is the direct result of the impact caused to the country's economy by the central bank treasury bond scam in February 2015? When we exposed the central bank treasury bond scam in 2015, we were accused of becoming anti-Ranil. We were labelled as those against the United National Party. At the time, we stressed the corruption committed would impact the people one day in the future, and we said so because we understand the suffering of the people. The exact losses caused to the country from the central bank treasury bond scam is yet to be determined. Many of those involved in politics in Sri Lanka have forgotten it is the innocent people of this country who have to pay the price for the arbitrary decisions and policies taken by the Prime Minister and his group of friends on the economy that was only beneficial to them and harmful to the country. The elephant runs wild when it is starving. Similarly, the people too one day will respond when they cannot bear the economic burden anymore. No one can say how strong and powerful that response would be. The day the people respond to the politicians is not far away.
A conference organized by the National Freedom Front under the theme Say No to the 20th Separatist Amendment was held in Mahaweva area in Nathandi yesterday under the patronage of MP Vimal Weerawansa.
Ranil cannot win a presidential election. We were not the ones who said this, it was Mangala. I don't think neither Ranil, Mangala or Sagala can win. They cannot be victorious at a presidential election in this country. Because they are unable to win, they are trying to abolish it, and that is the support the JVP gives to Ranil. Is the duty of the Terrorism Investigation Division to promote terrorism? Is it getting rid of President Sirisena and former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa with the support of Markandri Madush? Even though there are such serious charges, why is the IGP Pujitya Sundara still wearing the uniform? How did 2 new weapons of the Terrorism Investigation Division end up in another unit? For what murderous intentions were they taken? Did DIG Nalaka De Silva get arrested? Is it because this is true that he is not arrested? When Maithripala is no more, who will be the acting president? It is not me, but Ranil Wickremesinghe. Then who reaps the benefit of such a kill? Do shout and tell. Who will it be? I did not say it. It was you who said it. Who is Ranil's most fearful opponent if the presidential election is held? It's Gotabaya. If he is killed, who will benefit from it at the election? Not me, Ranil. When we ask these questions in Parliament, Ranil sits like a kitten and refrains from answering and makes the minister in charge of the police do all the answering. Usually it is Ranil who would give the answers, but on that day he sat silently.
The Ministry of Law and Order has decided to suspend the Scotland visit of Inspector General of Police Pujitya Sundara. Ministry Secretary Padmasiri Jayamana said the alternative days for the visit are yet to be decided.
The Secretary to the Ministry of Law and Order said they are yet to decide on the other officials who will be visiting Scotland. Recently, the Ministry of Law and Order decided to launch a preliminary investigation on IGP Pujitya Sundara, and on the 20th of September, a 3-member committee was appointed. The committee comprises of 2 additional secretaries from the Ministry of Law and Order and 2 senior assistant secretaries. The committee is to focus on the statements made by the IGP to the media recently, and the IGP made a special statement before the committee on the 28th of September.
President Maithripala Sirisena, who was in New York, USA for the 73rd United Nations General Assembly, returned to the island early this morning. Following his return, the head of state attended a walk organized under the call to end corporal punishment in Sri Lanka, Vision 2020.
The walk themed Real Change commenced this morning from the Independence Square in Colombo and was graced by President Maithripala Sirisena. The walk was organized by Stop Child Cruelty, and a letter with 3,000 signatures against corporal punishment as well as the Pentagon proposal was presented to the President. Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa was among those present.
The grand finale of Sri Lanka's first reality show, Sri Lanka's Got Talent, was held today at the Stein Studios in Ratmalana. Got Talent reality shows have been produced in 80 countries all over the world, and Sri Lanka's Got Talent would be one of the first of its kind that provides the same spectacular experience to Sri Lankan viewers. 6 outstanding acts were selected for the finals today out of the many talented individuals who competed in the categories of dancing, singing, magic, gymnastics and many more. Also in local news, Met Department says due to a low-level atmospheric disturbance in the vicinity of Sri Lanka, prevailing showery condition is expected to enhance over the island in the coming days. It adds the central, Uva, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern and southern provinces as well as the Mana and Vaunia districts will experience heavy falls above 100 millimeters.
During the past 24 hours, Kurunegala recorded the highest rainfall of 109 millimeters, Bandarawela with 81.2 millimeters and Katugastota received a rainfall of 73.3 millimeters. Meanwhile, several roads in the Halpe area in Bandarawela were inundated and plantations were severely affected due to heavy rains. Several roads in Haliyala, Bandarawela were also inundated last evening. 2 people were injured when a wall fell onto a house in the Kinigama area in Bandarawela last night. Our correspondent said the injured have been admitted to the Bandarawela Regional Hospital. The Disaster Management Centre says around 350 shops were damaged in the Akurana town due to a torrential downpour. The Akurana town was inundated last night with water levels reaching up to 4 feet. But the water levels had receded this morning and shop owners were seen cleaning their premises. Seas were rough during the past couple of days due to the adverse weather. Vehicular movement was disrupted along the Akurala-Kahawa areas in the Galle-Colombo main road.
The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation says it has incurred a loss of 17.5 billion in less than 3 weeks due to the depreciation of the rupee, which increased the government's fuel bill.
CPC had obtained US dollar loans amounting to $2.5 billion from 2 state banks for the purchase of fuel. According to the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, it will continue to incur losses if the dollar keeps appreciating. With the uncertainty in the oil prices in the country and the massive losses incurred by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, will the authorities again pass the burden on to the consumers? Rising cost of living has been the word on the street, and here are some of the views expressed by the general public.
Once you sell your country to another country, after that you can't do anything about the prices.
The government might be trying to implement their own formula in the guise of all these formulas on fuel and electricity.
Even if they implement a formula for food, we won't be surprised. The government does not have a plan to manage the economy. They have only been talking for the past 3.5 years.
Experts claim one of the main reasons for losses borne by the CPC is the pending dues from various government bodies. For example, in June, Sri Lankan Airlines owed the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation a sum of 13.45 billion rupees. 800 million rupees from the total due was repaid within a week, and cabinet approval was sought to obtain the remainder as a loan from a private bank.
CPC going into loss would mean that another valuable asset of the public of this country, the true owner of Petroleum Corporation, is the poor man in this country. His asset is going to get depreciated and his asset is going to get killed. That's what's going to...
International perspective. The economy of South Korea is the 3rd largest in Asia and the 11th largest in the world. South Korea is famous for its spectacular rise from one of the poorest countries in the world to a developed, high-income country in just 1 generation. South Korea's rigorous education system and the establishment of a highly motivated and educated populace is largely responsible for spurring the country's high technology boom and rapid economic development. Having almost no natural resources and always suffering from human overpopulation in its small territory, which deterred continued population growth and the formation of a large internal consumer market, South Korea adopted an export-oriented economic strategy to fuel its economy, and in 2014, South Korea was the 7th largest exporter and 7th largest importer in the world. How did South Korea's economy develop so quickly? Many studies attribute South Korea's structural transformation to policy reforms aimed at opening the country to foreign markets. Export-oriented policies of South Korea are one of its most important factors of its success. The 2 other important factors that contributed to the increase in international trade and industrialization in South Korea is 1. Improvement in the business environment, 2. Policies incentivizing investments in innovation.
Last night on News First, we reported on the destruction caused to a coastal area in the south of Sri Lanka, especially one of the top tourism destinations in our country, Humania, and its surroundings. The responsible officials have focused their attention towards cleaning up the polluted beach and the Humania blowhole area.
Humania is considered to be the 2nd largest blowhole in the world and has attracted tourists from all across the world. This is the state of the coastal line surrounding Humania being littered with non-degrading material including polythene, fishing nets, plastic bottles and other items. Following the News First revelation, Director General of the Department of Coast Conservation and Coastal Resource Management Prabhat Chandrakirti noted that measures were taken to clean the beach of the polluted material. We directed our attention to the News First report. The Tangol Pradesh Sabha has been entrusted with the responsibility of cleaning the entrance way to Humania and its surroundings. According to what was revealed in the news report, there is a lot of plastic waste. We discussed about this with the Kudavella Fisheries Harbour, and certain amount of responsibility lies with the fishermen. The Department of Coast Conservation, together with the Marine Environment Protection Authority, Sri Lanka Ports Authority and Ceylon Fisheries Corporation, will take measures to clean up the area within the coming week, and necessary measures for this initiative is already underway. I would like to thank News First for informing the public about this. The public too has a responsibility to make sure they too minimize pollution to the best of their ability. When News First contacted the chairman of the Tangol Pradesh Sabha, Lalita Vanigasekara, he said it is the Department of Coast Conservation that is entrusted with the responsibility of cleaning the beach. He said the Pradesh Sabha will take measures to clean up the road and surrounding areas.
A group of people commenced a Satyagraha campaign against the disposal of garbage in the Aravakkaru area in Putlam.
Locals from the Karatiu area in Eluwankulama commenced this Satyagraha campaign last morning. The locals in the area voiced their protest over the disposal of garbage and the proposed project on many occasions. The protesters claim the project is going ahead in violation of certain matters mentioned in the project report. The government lied to us saying the Aruwakkalu Hygienic Solid Waste Disposal Project will be built. They are not following the guidelines set out in the project report. The project report states the garbage from Colombo will be brought here and 300-meter high security zone will be created. However, the distance between the high security zone and the lagoon is 200 meters. They were lying to the people from the very beginning. This is what will happen in the future as well. The people have experience from Noracholei as well. We wish to inform the political leaders, the people of Putlam ensure there was a resounding win for good governance. The people will never support this government again. If there is another election and if this project goes ahead, the government will lose.
A tanker truck carrying fuel from Kulanawa to Ampara toppled in Monaragala today, spilling its contents all over the road.
The fuel tanker had toppled in an area known as the 31st mile post in Monaragala. More than 13,200 litres of fuel had spilt on the road, which saw several people rushing in to collect fuel into cans. The driver and his assistant was rushed to the hospital due to their injuries, and police believe the driver falling asleep at the wheel could be the reason for the accident.
Up next is Voice of the People, where the issues of the voiceless are placed before the nation.
Voice of the People. News from across the nation, reported by News First regional correspondents.
This is the Laksirigama Puakpitiya road in Habarana. The improper construction of culverts and bridges along this road has posed a serious obstacle for floodwaters to recede as well as for transportation in the area. Since this is the easiest way to travel from Habarana to Galenbinduruvawa, most of the people use this road to travel from Habarana to Hurulla, Palugasvawa and Rambawa. Due to the absence of a proper floodwater system, when it rains, almost all houses in the area are inundated.
When construction began, we informed them the bridge area is not sufficient for floodwaters to recede. The people beyond this point never experienced floods when the Yarnoya broke its banks. The previous 2 times it rained, this whole area was inundated.
Water was there for 3 days inside the house, up to 1 to 2 meters. Just imagine how a person could live inside this. I haven't slept for 3 days. None of the officers came to visit the place. The Grama Sevaka came at 1 o'clock and requested us to give a letter to the divisional secretariat and left.
They filled the land and sold it. Therefore, the path of the canal was changed.
As a result of dry weather, the IR5, 6 and 7 villages at the Mana Junction in Mahavilachia, Anuradhapura are facing serious issues in accessing clean drinking water. The people claim, though water is provided to them via bouses, that is not sufficient.
We don't get rain for 3/4 of the year, therefore no cultivation takes place.
We are going to get filtered water. 1 litre costs around 1 rupee. We can't afford that.
We get water once in 7 days and they distribute only 500 litres. It is not even sufficient for 2 days. Water is over after bathing children. We have to use that 500 litres until they come back. If they don't, we don't get water. Our children are facing various issues. We haven't had a wash in days. We will be relieved if we can access water. We are suffering with our children.
This matter was reported on previous occasions, yet sadly authorities have turned a blind eye to this.
Voice of the people. News from across the nation, reported by Newsfirst regional correspondents.
The Sri Lanka women's rugby team clinched the play championship in the second leg of the Asia Sevens rugby series held in South Korea. Log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk for the details. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Weekend Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.